My name is Rick Renner. This is part 5 on how to deal with stress. And of course, when you talk about stress, you're also talking about anxiety, fear, fretting, worrying. All of that is involved. And we've been looking really word by word at 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, and now we're into verse 8. But let's review again verse 7. It says, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. If you didn't hear the opening teaching on that, go back and listen to parts 1 through 4 in this series. It's very powerful, and I believe it will help you. But today we're in number 5. And in number 5, we see in verse 8, Peter says, be sober and be vigilant. I want to talk to you now about the need to be vigilant. That word vigilant is the Greek word Gregorio. It's where you get the name Gregory. Greg. It comes from this Greek word vigilant. And the word vigilant, Gregorio, meant to be on your guard or to be alert, and it was only used in the case that somebody might attack you. In other words, this described an alertness, an awareness that there was an enemy who would like to penetrate your camp. There's an enemy who would like to find a way to scale over those walls, get into your home. If he can find a crack, he would love to find that crack and slither through that crack and get into your life. And now in the context of these verses, where Peter is talking about worry, care, anxiety, stress, he says, be sober, that's in verse 8, think straight, not like a silly drunk, and then immediately adds, be vigilant, Gregorio, be on your guard, be alert. Wow. In fact, this word is used in such a strong way that it's almost like Peter lifts his voice. He's speaking in a much louder tone now. He's wanting everyone to hear what he has to say, including me and including you. Be alert. Hey, pay attention. He's trying to get hold of us and make us realize there is an enemy out there who wants to find a way to get into our lives, a crack through some relationship. If we're not watching, the devil will try to scale over the wall and descend into our camp. He'll try to sneak through a window or through a door. He's looking for a way to get in, because he knows once he can get in, he can royally mess things up. And one of the main entrances the devil uses to get into our life, got to keep in the context of these verses, is stress. Stress, worry, fear, fret, anxiety. Those emotions are doors. It throws the door open and makes a way for the devil to wiggle his way right into our emotions, right into our heads. And boy, then we've got a mess on our hands. Long time ago, when Denise and I were traveling in the car with our kids, traveling from city to city, we made the most amazing discovery. Now I'm talking almost 25 years ago. We were in the car, which was always very close quarters. It was me and Denise. This is back in the days before there were seatbelt laws, so she was usually carrying a child. We had Philip, we had Joel, we had Paul in very cramped corners, along with our suitcases and everything else. And we learned that if we got into strife, it almost had an immediate result. If I was worried, if I was frustrated, if there was stress ruling in that little car as we were traveling from city to city to preach, you know what usually happened? Usually somebody got hurt or somebody got sick. That almost always happened. And we learned that those emotions were entry points. They were doors through which the enemy got into our home. And therefore, when we saw that, we learned that we needed to be vigilant. We needed to be alert, aware, on the watch. And you may laugh, but Denise and I, if we begin to get into strife, or if we felt that stress or worry or fret was somehow trying to get into the car, we would look at each other and say, nope, it's not going to happen here. Nope, this is not going to happen here. And we would literally roll down the window and say, stress, get out of this car. Anxiety, get out of this car. We'd roll the window down and say, get out right now. Roll the window up, say, wow, glad we took care of that. And that was the moment in our life when we developed in the Renner home, and now it's a part of the whole Renner ministry, a no strife policy. And we live by it because we know that strife and emotions like that, they're door openers for the enemy to get in. And that if we will be vigilant in those areas, we can keep the devil out. Now, if you're stressed, we've already seen in the last part that it has an inebriating effect. You're going to say things you wish you didn't say. It's going to be something ugly, or you're going to make decisions that were not right decisions because you're under the influence of stress, worry, anxiety, fear, and fret. It's a bad time to make decisions. So if you stay alert, say, no, we're casting our care on Jesus. We're not going to carry this. We're going to think straight, not like a silly drunk. We're going to be vigilant. And Peter goes on to tell us why we really need to be vigilant. He says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Now, when we come back to part 6, we're going to see why is the devil called an adversary, and what does that really mean. So I'll see you when we come back.